Hello and welcome to another Disney discussion, and this time I'm in charge. We're all a bit chaotic today, we're all a bit messy, so let's fly and escape our troubles, leave them behind, and go sky high into the world, the adventurous world of Disney. And we're going to be looking at two very similar yet quite different films from 10 years apart. So Disney attempted to have some Superman-style success with Condorman in 1981, and then they tried the formula yet again with The Rocketeer. So we're going to be looking at both of these, and as always, I'm Spider Dan. We have our co-host Ria.
Hi.
Told you, hot, chaotic messes all today. And we have Mike and Megan as well.
Hello.
Hello. So, guys, I picked these because I quite enjoyed when we looked at Zootropolis and John Carter. We looked at something that was quite good and something that was not quite so good. So I like the dichotomy there. So I wanted to do the same again. I'd never seen Condorman. I had seen The Rocketeer. I know Mike was looking forward very much to The Rocketeer. He was so joyful when I announced it. I've never seen him more happy in his life. So yes, I this is why I wanted to kind of look at these, and I thought after High School Musical, I needed to torture Megan a little bit as well, just a little bit. So I'd like to talk about the Condorman first, and before anybody else says anything, we're going to go over to Megan, because she can't complain that everyone else has said what she was going to say. So, Megan, what did you feel about Condorman?
Oh my god, oh god, it's it's the very typical me that I did have a cheeky little nappy nap in the middle of it.
To be fair, we both watched it. Like afterwards, we did talk about it, but because there was a couple of we had to reschedule and stuff, so
it's been a bit of a crazy
and we didn't want to
3
rewatch,
weeks. Yeah,
and also Megan had a hen do the weekend just gone,
Sure.
So she's still not fully recovered from that.
no, I'm dead. I'm actually just the spirit of Megan.
She's actually downstairs astral
Mike
projecting.
conjured you back up.
Yeah.
I mean, there was the cars, and there was the main person. It was like Paris.
So
like,
I think I was anticipating to hate it solely because of everyone else's reactions when it was first. I don't think I hated it as much as I thought I was going to hate it. And then we watched the trailer for it earlier so that we can like refresh our memories a little bit. And yeah, that is definitely not great.
I don't. Voice a bit there.
Huh?
Do you need to clear your throat properly?
Yeah, I do. I don't know what's going on. It's the Hindu.
Still a bit raw from all that booze, eh? A bit raw.
Oh my god, copious amounts. Too much alcohol. Yeah, no, I don't think I hated it as much as I thought I was going to hate it, but I definitely didn't enjoy it. There were elements of it that I just thought were really all of the characters were just shit.
The main character, especially.
Yeah, the main character was really annoying. Like his, I don't really remember is it Natalia? I don't really remember her.
Yes,
to
yeah,
be
you're right,
honest.
Natalia.
But then I don't know if I'm getting the film mixed up with the other film. So, which one's got the girl from that film that I've seen in? Do you know the brown-haired girl?
Jennifer Connelly.
Yeah,
you'll have seen her in
Rocketeer.
loads of stuff.
Yeah. So I think I'm getting it mixed up with the other film.
But it is still a dark-haired woman who's called,
Yeah.
but this one's called Natalia, and she's like Russian or
She's
something.
blonde, isn't she?
No, brunette.
Oh well, it shows how much I remember.
The car's blonde. The car's bright yellow. Are you
No, I
confusing
remember the yellow
with
car,
her hair
and
colour?
I also remember the car being used to try and be inconspicuous at one point. I was like, well, everyone's going to fucking see who they are because it's a bright yellow car. I was
Yes,
like,
I'm going to wait for the
stupid.
CIA and drive around in bright yellow everything.
Yeah, and then the car was just basically the car from Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. It did everything.
Yeah, true.
Except the car in Chitty Chitty Bang Bang didn't like continuously miss other objects with its like missiles and stuff. It literally was just shooting.
No,
and
Chitty
nothing
Chitty Bang Bang
happened.
was really head on with their missiles. Weren't
Yeah.
They're proper
They were
spot on.
like top tier with their
That's
aim.
why the film's called Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
Top tier aim on their missiles.
Bang, bang.
That's what the Bang Bang is. That's where it comes from, isn't it?
Oh yeah, that's right.
Everyone else in that film is a shitty shot, but he's got the bang bang.
He has got the
Shitty
bang bang. Exactly.
That's it.
Yeah, no, it was all right. It wasn't all right. That's not true. It was not very good, but it was better than I thought it was going to be.
Ding ding ding.
Ding ding ding. I wish I had a noise like a little siren, like. wah, 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 or something like that. But no, just a noiseless font.
Yeah,
the video
unfortunately, I'm normally quite shit at remembering films anyway, but today I am particularly
Even I
worse
half
at
forgot.
remembering this film.
So
When I
there's
rewatched the
nothing
trailers-
memorable about this film, though. I mean, well,
For
there
me,
are
there
some
is.
things that haven't
Yeah,
aged
maybe-
well that are memorable about
Some-
this
Oh, there
film
was like
in
there was
general.
a blackface scene, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
that was
not
the
good.
main problematic scene.
Yeah. Just to give people some context if they haven't seen Condorman, which again, for a reason, this is not on Disney Plus, and I understand for a lot of reasons why. Basically, it's a comic book writer and artist who is friends inexplicably with a man who works for the CIA, hanging out in Paris, having a great time. And then the CIA guy needs a civilian to drop off some information to a person, and he says, "Oh, my friend will do it." And he's very outlandish. He's for some reason really focused on realism in his comic books, because comic books are so realistic, always have been very realistic. He's like, I won't do something unless it works, unless this flying contraption works, then I won't use it in my comic books. It needs to work for real. I need realism. Sure.
Then he creates the character, and he's not flown the suit before, so he's like, I've written a character, and his whole deal is the fact that he is like a condor, but I haven't tested that he can do this possibly. But he's already written several issues, hasn't he? This isn't his first go.
I think he's written other characters, and I think he's workshopping
Right.
this one. I will say, for a character called Condorman, he flies twice in the whole film.
Right at the start, right at the end.
And also looking at the wings of that thing, you're like, that wouldn't work.
Especially not with him flapping like that. The way he flaps, he's like upright doing this.
Engineer Megan has spoken.
That's
Yes,
right.
absolutely,
My engineering degree that I don't have.
Well,
you have a degree in like foreign languages. Spent 6 months in France, and he does it in Paris. So
yeah.
Therefore, I'm an
It's the
expert.
same.
Yeah,
There you go.
Everyone.
Logic of this
I
film.
mean, you're more of an expert than he is. Let's be honest. He is so shit.
Come on then, Rhea. So we learn that this guy, he gets embroiled in some politics, tries to save a defecting KGB agent over to the US.
Yeah, only
and
because he wants to shag her.
yeah, basically, yeah, pretty much.
Well, yeah, he was like, "No, I won't do it. I won't do it. It's Natalia." Oh, is it? Yes.
Oh,
Okay.
that's
yeah,
Natalia.
yeah,
It's a fit
yeah.
one. Yeah,
wanna get
I
it
won't
in there.
protect. I won't protect the world. I won't try and peacekeep or anything.
That's the thing, right? I hated this film so much, and I thought maybe I hate it because the sound and the images aren't matching up on what I was watching, because my laptop refused to play it for like 45 minutes. My laptop was like, "Fuck this! You're not watching
That's a
this. I'm not
blessing.
having this
That's a
shit on
blessing.
me." Right, and I was like, "Come on, I've just got to watch it because of stupid fucking Dan." And I was watching, and then finally, like it all matched up and got together again. And I was like, no, it's still shit, and I hate Woody so much.
Is that the main guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the way he
Mate, I
talks.
just can't stand him. The way he talks,
Yeah.
everything about him, the way he acts. Just, I hate him. I was like, why do you exist? Who read this character and went, I'm going to play it like this? Who read this character and said, this is a character I want on film? Because is he supposed to be like, this is a weird reference, but like, Weekend at Bernie's, right? And Bernie.
Neither of us
Bernie,
have
who
seen
is-
Weekend at Bernie's.
I've not seen.
spoilers.
I'm not seeing it, but I'm aware of the film.
None of us
Am I
have
allowed
seen
to
it.
do
Well,
Weekend at Bernie spoilers?
I know that what you're probably going to be
I
saying
know the
about
premise,
Bernie.
yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't
so
know anything about the film.
Dead Bernie is a better actor than this fucking chump.
Yeah, they're trying. It's basically a body that they're trying to pretend is alive.
And
It's
he's
the whole-
more charismatic and he's more sexually attractive. He's dead than this chump. Like, I could not stand him. I absolutely could not stand him. And all like, ooh, these funny comedy bits. No, they're not working. What are you? Are you Airplane or are you James Bond? What are you? What are you?
Yeah.
He's a
so it's-
tool.
so
Is what he
it's-
is.
So the actor playing it is Michael Crawford. So some people will know Michael Crawford from Some Mothers Do Have Them, where he plays like he played a very kind of, I'd say effeminate maybe for the time, but he was very camp and he played around, and he's known for doing a lot of physical comedy and slapstick, which I thought, oh, this will be a great role for him because he's meant to be. And we've talked about him before. He was in Wall-E, so they play, I think it's Funny Girl in Wall-E. They play the musical, and he's singing that song in Wall-E, the kind of love theme.
Oh, yeah.
That's it. That's him. And he was also the Phantom of the Opera in Andrew Lloyd Webber's Phantom of the Opera.
Yeah, that's the original Phantom.
Yeah. He's the original Phantom.
So he has got presence. He can do something. Like Mike and Megan, you're young little babies. Like, I don't know if you know, some mothers do have them, but you would instantly be like, I see what he's doing in it. He's embodying that. It works, right? Like, he is a very great physical actor until this film, apparently. And I was just like, just everything he's doing is the most irritating thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
Because there isn't a lot of slapstick. That's what I expected. I expected a lot of slapstick, like him falling over. Some others do have him. He used to do all of his own stunts and things. So he would go down. There's a very famous section of the show where he would go down the street in rollerblades, and he's losing control. He's very Buster Keaton kind of Charlie Chaplin-esque stuff. And I was like, this will be perfect because he's supposed to be a character who's out of his depth. He's not a superhero. He's not a spy. So he's going to end up doing a lot of that stuff. And then when he does do it in this, which is very, very rarely, like in the bar where he's accidentally bumping into them, it's really shit. It is not good in the slightest. And he is really quite good at this kind of stuff. So it was really shocking to me that it was that bad. But as a performance, he's really overdoing the accent. It's like the cheesiest, most over-the-top American accent. It's like, hey, I'm an American, and I like comic books. Hey, do you know where these guys are from? Don't worry, I'll just press another button. It is fucking
it's insufferable. I was doing it earlier, wasn't
snails on a chalkboard.
Yeah, absolute right word.
Every single word that comes out, it says, and it's not your accent on it was fantastic, but it's not just the accent. It's also
Don't worry, Mike.
I'm
really good at being irritating, so I can imitate that man
it's just
quite
that
well.
thing where he's like, everything he says is talking like this, even if it's something that's not relevant. And
It's like
every single line that he says is exactly the same, and it's just this all the time for an hour and a half, and it's like
so accurate.
And everything he says about 50 words to say like three words.
It's like an American infomercial, isn't it?
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
Yes.
It's a very good way of
Good,
putting it.
nice one, nice ball. That and again, there's I think there's something to the idea. I like the idea, the initial idea. He's a comic book writer, and he just gets kind of wants to live out that fantasy. There's something there that could be quite interesting, but they're trying to be a James Bond, Austin Powers parody, but it's also trying to be a proper superhero spy thriller, and it doesn't achieve either of those things. And one thing that really ticked me off as well, they were like, he's talking about Superman. He's like, why don't you set it in New York, this comic book? And he's like, Superman's got New York all tied up. I can't put the comics there. I can't put the adventures there. And I'm like, even a fucking child knows that Superman does not operate in New York City. Even a fucking child knows that. Why you are supposed to be a Jack Kirby, Stan Lee kind of parody, and you don't know the fucking basics of what you're trying to achieve or do or tell, I was just like,
because it's basically it's funny he says that because it's every single other Marvel character.
Everyone's in New
I know
York.
Superman's DC, but you got Superman and Metropolis and Batman and Gotham, and then you literally think of every
Spider-Man's
Marvel one.
in New York.
Well, Spider-Man,
Avengers,
Daredevil,
literally any of them.
the Avengers Tower,
Yeah.
Daredevil,
X-Men,
and all of them.
X-Men, yeah, literally,
All
could
of them are
have
in New York.
mentioned any of those.
Fantastic
but-
Four.
But the thing with this is they're trying to have their Superman film, because they even got the guy who did the flying effects for Superman to do this film. They even used the harness that Christopher Reeve used in those films, but they clearly didn't fit Michael Crawford, so they had to like remake them or restructure them. But the flying effects are fucking atrocious. Like, it looks so awkward and uncomfortable and odd. And I'm like, you know, this same team made us believe a man could fly, and this one, in fact, behind the scenes where they do when he falls into the river in Paris, Michael Crawford almost drowned. That's how badly those effects went.
Ooh, Jesus.
You know,
I assume it's because the suit was so heavy.
Was it in the Seine?
the wings, I think, were probably once they get caught by the current, I think you just get pulled along as well. But yeah, like
Did you say was it in the Seine? What, the river in France?
Yeah, I'm assuming it was
Yeah,
the Seine.
I guess.
I can't remember.
I assume it was all filmed on location, like a lot of it. It did dart around quite a lot.
Imagine, but yeah, I have to say as well, the opening of the film, I was like, I'd messaged you guys when I was watching it. I was like, if this opening is a sign of things to come, I'm in for a fucking horrible ride, because it is the most generic theme I've ever heard, and it's really quiet. There's like almost like no music, and then all of a sudden it'd be like, "Brr, brr, brr, Condorman," and there's this little animated character who keeps kind of flying in and falling down, flying in, falling down, flying in, and all it does every so often is "Brr, brr, brr, Condorman," and I was just like, this is the worst theme song for anything I've ever heard in my entire life. I am
Dan,
actually
imagine that happening, but slightly delayed to everything that's happening on the screen.
That's you watched the director's cut edition. That's how it's meant to be watched.
So I was like,
That's
the sound's
Snyder
not
cut. The
working.
Snyder
And I'm
Snyder
trying to
cut
like
of
put my
Condor
kid
Man.
to bed and watching it on my laptop. The sound's not like that. Yeah, can't. Shh, go to sleep. Mummy's just doing some work on the laptop. Doing some work. Such a liar. And I'm like, the sound's not working. Then all of a sudden, like 10 seconds later, the sound of. So they all started talking, and I've got Condor Man going on. I'm like, but there's people talking on the screen.
The living gramophones. But Dan, did you actually like? Before I say what I thought about this film, did you actually like the film? Did you enjoy the ride, or you? So you and Rhea. So it's weird that you two really dislike. You chose it and
really
shot yourself in the foot.
This is the thing. I was like, oh, this will be fun. I might like it a little bit, but I genuinely think this is one of the worst things we've done on Disney discussions, and I picked it. And I don't think it is. And I honestly, you know, and fair play, High School Musical. At least it had stuff.
Fantastic
in it.
plot.
It's just fun, Dan.
At least it had something.
Fun.
Had something to it.
This is
It has
I'm
even-
in the
right.
middle of a
High School Musical has
depressive
everything.
episode, a depressive episode, and you made me watch this. I was like, Disney discussions is fun. Like I was like, oh, what's happening?
is
My life?
like-
Right, High
I was
School
like,
Musical
this is
2.0.
fun.
What, you mean Camp Rock?
I genuinely, I don't often do this, but I genuinely apologise for choosing this. That's
I
how
don't think it was even
like
that bad.
I've only done this on one other occasion
Megan can't
when I
remember.
did
She's
Meek's
like, yes.
Cut Off years ago on a different podcast. I was like, I apologise for us picking this because it is the fucking worst. I don't know about you guys, but I'd watch Dragon Slayer over this any day of the week.
Absolutely.
Oh no,
Give me
no,
Dragon
no,
Slayer.
no, no, no!
I
I watched this.
Really?
I don't
watched this
remember
Dragon
either
Slayer.
of them. I don't think I've seen either of these films.
I'm gonna be. I feel like I'm gonna
Lucky
be
you.
a Condor Man stan here. I actually enjoyed the film. I thought it was actually
No,
right.
no.
Why? Tell us why.
So I mean, I'm just looking. I'm shuffling through the old papers. Like I think John Carter was better made than this, but I think that because this film was so short, that that does have a leg up on a lot of things.
That is an
But-
excellent point, actually. This is short.
It zoomed by.
So if I was forced to watch Dragon Slayer, John Carter, or this, I mean, I'm in a
Was
tough
John
place
Carter
if
the
that's
jumping
happening.
one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember the jump.
Yeah, like
But this
the
would
thing
be
is-
over
like a cricket.
soonest.
The thing is that I feel like John Carter also is so much more complex and tried to be so many things it wasn't, and too much of one thing. Like it felt like the vision for John Carter was so messy, and it felt like it was hard to make. With this film, it just felt like it was a half idea to begin with, and they finished with 55% of an idea, and so it feels crap. But going in, I never thought, oh, this is going to be it, boys. You know, you watch the start of John Carter, you go, this could be something quite incredible. Maybe this is actually a cult classic that's actually really good. And there's parts of it you go, this is really clever, really well thought out. And then other bits are like, this is atrocious. What is happening? And Condorman's like, this film sucks. And you're like, really? And you're like, but it does suck pretty hard. I mean, I know the blackface scene where he pretends to be someone from the Middle East.
He's in a disguise.
That is awful.
Also, earlier in the film, he pretends to be a
Yes.
Romani,
He does, yes.
which is also problematic as well
What?
in its own right. Like a traveller. I'm not going to use the more famous phrase.
Oh, right,
it's,
okay.
It's an offensive
Does he?
term. So
I think his accent was probably so
yes.
bad.
They
that I didn't
use
even
they
notice.
use the offensive term in the film to describe the group of people, but I won't say.
Oh yeah.
And then yes, you are correct. At the end, again, he's in another disguise, and he dresses up as a sheikh, as like a Muslim Arab sheikh, and yeah, also very problematic.
Agree. So the problematic stuff, I'm not going to apologize for. I think it's they shouldn't have done it 100%. And it's not like there was something integral to the plot they had to do, and it was, you could even argue we had to do it this way, because it was literally just a disguise, which he didn't really need anyway. But he could have disguised himself as anything else.
He bloody loves a disguise.
He does. There's so many disguises in this. And I've got a note here which says the film shouldn't be called Condorman. It should be called Yellow Transport Man. Because the scenes he's in the car are actually, I think this wouldn't be bad for the VHS Strikes Back, because I think in the middle act of this film is actually good. As in the anything with the yellow vehicles in, I think genuinely is quite well made. The car chase is actually quite cool. The effects are crap, but 80s effects are crap in loads of films.
Yeah, it's very pew pew, isn't it?
Yeah, but like the actual action scenes when things are happening, the explosions look really cool.
Boat
and I
chase,
think that
yeah.
the boat chases, and there's two boat chases. There's one where the car becomes the boat, and there's the other bit where he just has another boat lying around. Yeah. The bit where the car comes out the front of that giant truck house thing is so dumb and doesn't make any fucking sense. The size of the car and the truck bit, and where the car comes out of, there is no way they were sitting both in the cockpit of...
Yeah, they come out of the engine.
Yeah, and it's like, you could have been sitting in the sports car, but also when the camera's inside the truck, you're in a truck. There was not a car behind you. It couldn't have happened. But, that stuff aside, which I think is goofy and funny and silly, I think if you remove the parts about him being a Condor Man and the clear, very insensitive parts... You've got about an hour of a fairly good, incompetent spy film. And I think if they'd have just done that...
This is the issue. The issue. The film is called Condorman. It's built on the premise of Condorman. And you've just said the best bit, but when he's not fucking Condorman.
Oh yeah, it's not a good film, to clarify.
This film?
And looking through, it is an awful film.
That's my problem with it. It's like, what are you? Are you a parody? Are you a superhero comedy film? Are you a James Bond type parody? Are you a oi, 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 I want to get it in the Russian spy film? Like, what the fuck are you?
I feel if he did lean on the Austin Powersy stuff, and he was meant to be an unlikable dick, and he didn't get the girl, I think that would have kind of worked, and it would have been like, all right, because he is so unbearable, and I feel like if everyone else really recognised how unbearable he was, it would have been fine. But they were all kind of neutral to him.
With that, there's one bit in this.
I just really want to watch the film where everybody around him, I would love this film, Mike, was going, he is unbearable. Like his FBI mate, the Russian spy woman, even like the guy who's kidnapping everybody, the bad guy's like, fucking dude. I'd love, this is the version I want. I need someone
That'd be so much better, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
And she didn't want to get with him, and she pretended to be getting, and then when they, at the end, when they leave, she's rescued, he's like, "Oh, are we gonna?" And she's like, "Absolutely not. You
make me sick."
How?
I don't know.
Literally, like, what is wrong with you? God! And just walks away, and he's just left there, and just slowly zooms out, and all you can see is him and the wings on the wall of Condor Man, and just zooms out.
He just flies off into the distance.
Sad music, like the Hulk, the end of the Incredible Hulk series, and he's like standing at the edge of the road, that kind of stuff.
Sorry, Megan, I interrupted you. What were you going to say?
Yeah, go on, Megan. Sorry.
It wasn't anything. There's
you
just one.
The bit in Italy.
No, what bit in Italy?
Okay, I thought it was your favourite bit of the film.
Went to Italy?
No, go ahead.
Oh, I think I know which bit you're talking about.
Go ahead, Megan. Sorry.
I was just going to say one bit that really irks me is when he's like told by his CIA friend that he has to go to this thing as a civilian, and then he turns up very much looking like a fucking spy, and I'm just like, look at you absolute bellend. You look like the kind of character that would be in what's that game. Is it like LA Noir?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
He looks like he belongs within
Yeah.
that video game, which
Yeah,
is
like
a
a
spy
noir
thing.
character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The bit that Megan was going to say was that bit.
Oh yeah,
Go on,
right.
we got to say that. You got to say that.
So
bit.
when they're in Italy, and then he's like, oh yeah, blah blah blah, he's doing whatever he's doing, so I can't actually fucking
the
remember.
wedding is the wedding. They sneak in the wedding. Use
That's
it
my
as diversion
favourite
and run
bit.
away.
That is definitely my favourite
Yeah.
bit.
But then there's a bit where all the kids come up to him speaking in perfect English in this fucking rural Italian town, and they're like, "Oh yeah, you're this guy," and they're all reading his books, and
They're
then
reading his comics, which are Condorman,
which
aren't
are all in English, and I'm just like, first of all, you're in a rural Italian town.
200 people.
All of these kids are not going to be speaking perfect
or
fluent
get English comics.
or get English
to read
comic
English.
books. They're going to be reading the Italian comics. They're not going to be reading this.
Batman,
random
if you're
stuff.
lucky.
No, I can't really think of any of the Italian ones now. I was going to like throw off some Italian comics, and I can't remember any of them.
But that bit
But,
was funny. And
yeah,
there were
no,
just
I was
5 or 6
irate. I was annoyed by that.
Yeah.
It's just like it's not logical.
No. Well, not a lot of this film is logical. Even though he's like, I won't put things in comic books that if they're not logical.
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up. Also, another thing that really annoyed me is that he was like, I need you to do it based on my designs. It's all about my designs. They must be my designs. And then he gets in the fucking car and he's like, what happens if I press this button? I was like, you should know. It's your fucking car based on your fucking... Like, they're not going to design it bright yellow without your fucking input. No CIA guy is going to do that. He doesn't... The thing is, like, he fucking hell, it's like... He's not competent, and the only times he seemingly is competent is in those vehicles, and then even then it's kind of by accident. And I thought maybe by the end he might grow in confidence or he might improve or something. It's basically if Jar Jar Binks had a whole film,
I think
he
it's
just
more like Johnny
and he just
English.
succeeded just by accident. And it's-
26 minutes until we get a Star Wars reference, and it wasn't
There we go.
Mike.
It wasn't me. It was me.
Why?
Yeah, but the thing is that I think this is like Johnny English and Austin Powers. It's just a predecessor that just didn't land properly, because I'd say for the branding. Of it, if again, I don't think this film is good, and I think looking through the Disney Discussions films we've done, I think the only film I'd say that's worse than this that we've tackled, I probably would
2.
say Dragon Slayer was probably better, but it was so fucking long, I just can't deal with it. But no, Mulan 2, I think I'd rather watch.
Mulan 2.
What a
I'd
classic
rather watch-
Mulan 2. Come on.
I'd rather watch Condorman over Mulan 2, I think.
Oh, dear.
I think that would be the case.
I'd rather watch Mulan too.
Yeah.
What,
I'd
where they
rather
ruin
watch
Mushu?
Mulan.
I do.
Are they
Ruin
what?
a
I'd
Mushu.
still rather watch it.
Yeah.
I do think the wedding scene was the only time I genuinely got a laugh at the entire film was when they were like, "Oh, does anyone object to this wedding?" It's like he's been cheating on you with me, and then it's just a giant punch up. I love that. And then they just leave, and this whole wedding is in a massive fight, a massive brawl against all the family members. I just love that. I was like,
I
more
just
weddings need to end like that.
The film is not a good film. Don't get me wrong, but I think there's a variety of
So what's
crap
going to
films.
happen at mine and Mike's wedding?
A brawl, yeah. I'll start it.
No, I'll start it. I'm going to be there, so I'll start.
Okay, yeah.
Not the
I
wedding,
think
but
Wedding pie.
the thing
wedding party.
is that I think that with this kind of film, there are certain ways of watching crap films. Okay, there's certain films which are so bad, like unwatchable bad, like Cats is one of them, and there's a few others like that. There's ones that are crap but they're good, like Demons,
Room. The Room.
like The Room. I mean, The Room is kind of a weird one, but yes, those ones where you go in knowing it's going to be crap. I've got Demons 2 on DVD. It's not good, but it's good bad.
yes.
And then this film is just
Bad.
kind of crap. And the thing is, I've seen so many films worse than this. So many watching experiences. The film, as like an objective, if I stripped it down in like a media class, it would be one of the worst films, I think, in a lot of ways, excluding the action set pieces. But I think that just out of when watching it, there weren't that many times I was like, oh my god, this is unbearable. Like the dialogue, the first half an hour of The Room is so hard to watch. It's nonsensical.
Disagree. Disagree.
It's hilarious once you're in on it. But the first time you watch it, when everyone's been talking about it, and then you watch it,
You get to watch the same sex scene twice.
oh, it's unbearable.
You
Once
are
you're in
my
on the
rose,
joke,
you are my rose.
once you're in on the joke, it becomes funny because it's just the worst thing you can imagine.
hi,
But
Doug.
Condorman is just quite crap.
Oh, hi, Mark. I did not
Rhea,
recognise
don't-
The
you.
Room is the film I've seen the most in the cinema and the most in general.
Yeah, and that's
Probably,
fine. But
yeah.
it's just that
That's
Condorman is
amazing,
just,
don't
for
it?
me,
No, I've probably
a
seen
really
that
crap...
before, to be fair,
It's-
which is a perfect film.
It's just a really crap movie, Condorman. But the thing is, if you think about all the worst movies you've ever seen, I wouldn't say this comes near it. If you think of like films where you watch and you were dreading it through the whole time, you finished it and you were like, I can't even fathom like doing that. There's quite a few films that you've...
Visit a Q.
Well, yeah, exactly. It's like Visit a Q or Necromantic, or like there's other films.
At least
Visit a Silence, and that is one of the worst.
At least
films I've seen.
Visitor Q was funny to a degree.
But this is the thing.
it was a
like,
black
How
humour.
dare you?
It was black humor, but it was black humor, but it did land.
Nah,
It did land.
that film can
like,
go fuck
although
itself.
I agree with that, they are very different types of film, right?
Yes.
And so you come into this and it's like, it's a quote unquote fun Disney comedy, spy, action, superhero film. So although I do completely agree with you, Mike, I've watched a lot of shit in my long hot life. Like I was like, I'm gonna have some enjoyment out of this. Like I remember it from being younger, and I was like, I'm sure I'm gonna enjoy myself. I would say the percentage I enjoyed myself was probably about 5%, like genuinely, but not because I'm like, this is a terrible film, but even with my low expectations, I still just didn't have fun. And I thought I would at least have fun with it. And like, I don't actually disagree with anything that you're saying. You've actually made me look at it in a slightly better light. But I just was going in knowing it would be rubbish. I was like, I'm just going to have some fun with it. And maybe it's my current mindset, or the fact that I could not get the dialogue and the sound to match up with the picture for 45
I think that did
minutes.
hurt it.
Yeah. But I was just like, I'm just not having fun. I'm just letting it and it is short, but it still felt like an absolute slog.
Oh,
But you guys actually watched it by yourselves. Was obviously Megan and I watched
did.
it together, which was
I
I
think
think,
a group
by
thing would be
myself.
fun,
If I was
yeah.
sat there by myself in silence watching it, I'd be like, "This is awful." But there were times when we were like, "What is happening?" Like what in a kind of fun way, like what is going on? And then there were times when we were both kind of talking over it a little bit, going, "This Woody guy's insufferable." Like so annoying. I'm like, what the hell is going on? And then laughing about it, as opposed to just being sat there and going like,
if I'm ever
this-
as insufferable as Woody, you can put me down. Just hire a sniper and just put me out of my misery, because I don't want to be like that. I don't want to be that person.
"Can
in
I get
my
your
life.
Magneto helmet?"
Yeah, you can inherit it if you like.
Okay, yeah, cool.
I'll put it in the will.
Awesome.
I'll put it in the will.
Okay, but once you've done the will, message me and then we'll sort the other
Well, I
thing out.
mean, I know why you like this film so much, Mike, because the dad from Teen Wolf is in it.
Michael J. Fox's
The most famous film. Michael J. Fox's most famous role is
clearly.
everybody. The first one everybody thinks of. They go,
Yeah.
he was in Teen
I
Wolf. That
think you'll find
absolute
everybody
banger.
thinks of Spin City first, actually.
Yes.
Spin City, then Teen Wolf.
The secret of
about
my
that.
success.
Doc Hollywood.
Doc
Obsessed with
Hollywood,
that
yes.
film.
Great film, great film. I'll be honest, as insufferable as Woody was, I thought Natalia was quite insufferable, because I couldn't wrap my head around that she thought, one, he was a genuine spy. After that first thing, I'm like, how do you think he's a genuine spy on any level? He's not discreet. He's clearly clumsy. He's like, all the things he's doing are clearly by accident. He's, having a triple whatever, blowing flames out of his, mouth.
that was very silly.
And then eventually she learns the lie that he is just a comic writer. He's not a spy. He's not, Robert Redford from 3 Days of the Condor. He is a liar. He's
massive
a fraud.
dickhead.
He's a fraud. And she's like, you know what? I don't mind the lies. I've had a life of lies, but this lie is okay because it's kind of a nice lie. I'm like, there's something. You're an awful spy yourself if you believe this. You're atrocious. The fact
Well, she
that
did get captured, didn't she?
The fact that you
a
thought
good
he
point,
could
yeah.
save you, like he's the one to come and save you. Out of all the CIA agents they have, you were like,
I guess
no,
it's desperation.
That guy.
Well, I suppose she did ask for him specifically, but that's the
Only
only way to
because
make
she
him do
thought
it.
she was a spy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get. It's one of
Because
those.
she went back to her people and said, "Oh, they sent a real amazing spy."
I guess just the way he was almost like I feel like I'm trying to defend this film when it is
No,
actively terrible.
you've
and
won me
everything's
over, Mike.
But
I
like,
have to be honest.
with her,
You've won me over.
I think
your
with her,
view of viewing it as like being fun and watching it with other people and just like having a bit of fun with
and
it.
the app, audio being synchronized up.
Yeah.
Sure.
Like
Yeah.
That would help.
you've won me over a little bit. I'm never going to watch this again, but you've
No, absolutely.
made me
I
take
probably
a
would.
less.
If anyone,
hard
if
stance
you
on
want if you want the DVD, Mike, I'll send it to you. I'll bring it up. Bring it round.
Yeah, actually, that'd be quite cool. Yeah, I
Wedding
wouldn't mind
present.
that because I've got mates of mine
Oh,
who
what
would.
a lovely wedding present.
I got mates of mine who would genuinely really like it. You'd love that wedding present instead of anything, good. Another
Yeah.
thing to add to the collection.
I will say, I thought Oliver Reed was fine in it. I thought he was he's a villain. He was fine. He did what he did best, which is
The accents were
be a
pretty
bit
off,
drunk.
weren't they?
Oh yeah, for everybody, for fucking everybody.
Yeah, I've literally written down just accents feel very
all over the show.
off/wrong.
Yeah,
And then different language, like they're all meant to be speaking different languages, but it's like a Russian guy, and he's with loads of Russian people with Russian accents, and they all speak English.
yeah.
That's very much an older. I think
Yeah.
nowadays it is more common that if there is a group of like Russian mobsters that they actually do
Yeah.
speak in Russian or Italian mobsters or whatever language they're speaking is, they do
Yeah, it's
normally
kind
put
of
subtitles. Whereas
like
back
like
then-
Tarantino, isn't it? It's like in Inglorious Bastards, they'll have them go, "Do you mind if we speak German for a while, or do you mind if we speak English for a while?" Very very odd, but they do that. Yeah, it's
I've got two
go on.
more things to say about.
Go ahead,
about
Mike.
this.
Go ahead.
So one of them is the cartoon stuff, which obviously is the main bit of how the film kicks off and is terrible. By the end, he doesn't seem to mention it again, even though that was the whole point of his adventure. He kind of finishes off and's like, "Cool, I'm done now. Guess I might write a comic. I don't know. I can't remember if he mentions it, and because it's him and Natalia at like Dodger Stadium." And it's like,
the
okay,
end, yeah.
surely you'd be writing comics because that's the whole reason you just went on this crazy caper. Where have you got your money from? Also, where are the laser?
Yeah.
How has he got laser cannons in 1981? It's like, oh yeah, my power is this weird giant bird suit that I use once every few weeks, and also I just happen to have fucking laser cannons.
I don't know
on
why.
2 or 3 different vehicles.
I don't know why the CIA are giving him money. I have no idea. Like they went. No, it's fine. We'll do this. He needs to be a superhero for some reason to get this, defector from the KGB out. I have no idea why. Again, I'd have no idea why anybody does anything in this film. I just don't know. I can't come up with a good reason why someone goes, "Yeah, we'll do that," or that.
That's his power. He's got the power of a
It's
condor.
so-
Where he can,
so
where he
fucking-
can control minds.
The whole thing is so fucking contrived. All of it.
Well,
it.
another contrived bit, I will say, those ski lifts. Were they real in the 80s, or was that only there? Because they were terrifying. Like it's like holding onto a pogo stick. Like
Yeah.
were they real?
They've
Are they
got,
real?
well, there's ski lifts that you
Yeah.
have like the little bottom bit that you just put under your bum and it pulls you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen them, but like that looked like if
you
you
get
let go,
then
you
you-
may die.
Yeah, they're real. Yeah.
Oh my god!
Not anymore. Like most
No.
ski
Yeah.
places have upgraded
Have
them.
the seat.
Health and
They have the
safety.
seat. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen the seat ones.
Well, you,
but I
so
was
you
like,
get like the seat ones, you get the T-bar ones, you get the little disc you put on your butt.
Yeah, the disc one. Yeah.
I mean, I'm never going to go.
Oh,
skiing,
the disc
so.
we out on the
That- the disc
old,
one is
really
what
old
I'm
school
thinking of.
ones. You used to just like hold on.
hook on.
That's health and safety pre-80s is scarier than anything in this film.
Oh yeah.
It's just horrifying.
That was just the 80s, I think. I don't think it was anything specific to Condor Man.
That's
Or
before the
stunt-
80s. The pre-80s stuff is just
Pre-80s,
terrifying.
70s, 80s, sure. You said you wanted to say another thing, Mike?
It was the ski lift thing, and the other thing was the cartoon stuff. He just never.
Yeah.
After mentioning it at the start and being a big deal, he just never mentions it again. Again, this
Yeah.
film I don't think is that good, but I think that if you watched it like The Room or something like that with a couple of people
Yeah.
knowing
think
it's
it-
going to be crap, you could have fun, but there is no defending the problematic.
I think I did need
especially
to have a
problematic
few.
scenes.
I definitely needed a few drinks. I think I'm definitely on the same wavelength as Rhea. Like 5% of me enjoyed this, but I can see. I do agree with you. I think the stunt work is good. Too much laser shit, but the stunt work is good.
Not enough laser shit.
Not enough laser. I know you love your lasers. There's two more things I want to mention. So I think the logo is a little too close to the Nazi eagle for my liking. personally.
Yes, I thought that as well.
I was like, this is a little too similar for me.
I was like, it's a strong choice.
Actually, I have three
decisions.
things. I have three things. I also thought it was weirdly horny. like even at the end, like Natalia kisses the friend, and he's like, "Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo," at the butt of the at the stadium. He's like, "Woo-hoo-hoo." Very nice. And I was like, okay, that's weird.
I thought that was just background 80s horniness. I found that almost any
felt like
film
there was some
from 80s or
weird
before
horniness
is
vibe.
really gross and awful.
Yeah.
Like with, not to make it too serious, but like with the patriarchy sort of stuff, that goes on, which exists, and all the sexism and etc. I find that whenever I go back in older films, there's certain films which are fine, but then you watch the old one, and you're like, oh fucking hell, this is so. And when I was younger, I think it didn't used to bother me, probably because I didn't notice it as much. But there's certain films, especially the 80s, where it's just like having sex is such a massive fucking deal. And it literally trumps everything. And there's situations people get in. And it's not like when it's a teen comedy film. This is like, it's situations that people get themselves in, all because there's a slightly attractive woman or a conventionally attractive woman nearby. And then it's just completely fine in films to go, let's just completely...
A woman with a pulse. That's fine.
Let's just look away
does
from
she
anything we're
even need
doing.
to have that?
Oh my gosh.
Depends on the film.
Let's not talk about our dick
Can
podcast
I just
again,
say,
Rhea.
my lovelies, I'm really scared. So, Dan made a Star Wars reference, and now 39 minutes in, Mike's made a patriarchy reference, and I haven't said it once.
Who are we today?
What's happened? We're
switching roles.
This is where I actually joke, and I remember everything about all of the films.
No, the actors.
By the way,
Timestamps.
I think you're on that bit of trivia, Dan. You're wrong. Actually, I think it happened.
I think the cinematographer's actually.
I don't think he drowned at all. I don't think he almost drowned. He did drown. He's dead.
It's like The Crow, but the film wasn't as good, so no one cared.
Exactly. There's a Clone Wars. Condorman versus the Crow.
Crowman.
To be fair, I thought The Crow was a bit overrated when I watched it.
Crowman.
Ooh, and I only watched it last year.
Okay, I've
definitely a better film,
I've got one last thing before we finish, and then I'll see if Rhea has anything left to say.
No,
or
I
if she
want
just,
to talk about
she's done.
Rocketeer. I just want to stop
Just get on with it. So it lost. Disney lost quite a bit of money on this one, unsurprisingly.
Sure.
So the budget was 14 million at the time, which is quite a large amount back in 1981. So that adjusted for inflation, I've done the maths. That was in today's money, whatever term you'd use, it was 48.1 million.
Right.
And it lost 9.5 million at the time. So that
As DVD sales back up. Let's go buy it.
Buy that DVD. It's a shit DVD, by the way. It's all pixelated and fucking horrible, by the way. The picture is awful.
Oh.
So yeah, but I'll send it to you, mate. Don't worry. So
I'll burn it.
again, updated for.
That's your wedding present.
I'll burn it. I mean, I'm all right with that. I'm okay with that.
How a wedding gift
I'll
would be
feed it to
burning
a
Visitor
condor.
And then so adjusted for inflation, it lost 42.6 million for Disney. One of its worst financial years ever, 1981. Probably because of all the films I made us watch the last time when we did loads of weird, like late 70s, early 80s movies.
That budget though, like what? Because like obviously I understand the concept of that is a lot of money, but what would that be in relation to like another film?
Like non-Avengers, because Avengers films, the budgets for them are like
they're like
of
200
millions.
million or something.
Right.
So I think most indie films are quite low, like like maybe $1 million at most. I think, but I think it's like I'd say it's like a mid-budget film now. I'd say maybe not necessarily a superhero one, but I think the main problem at the moment is studios are using huge budgets when they don't need to. And I think that's why a lot of things are bombing, because they're expecting Avengers style numbers, but they're not going to get them. So why put all this money into it and then just get a loss?
Barbie, for example, I just looked at. Barbie was 150 million. Lady Bird was 10 million. So obviously,
and in today's money, this was how much million?
48.1 million.
48.1 mil. Jesus.
Yeah. So
Imagine spending that amount of money on this pile of shit.
I can't imagine that amount of money. Really.
okay.
That's how much that DVD cost me.
I found a perfect comparison.
48 mil.
Found a perfect
48.1
comparison.
mil.
Dread, the film.
That vampire thing.
No. No, Dread's not a vampire thing.
What's the vampire thing?
Are you comparing Condorman to Dread?
No,
think
the
Dredd is
budget is the
amazing
same.
money.
The budget
Okay,
the budget
right.
for Dread now is about
Yeah, so that's
45
like
million.
so that's kind of
but-
like a low budget kind of
Yeah.
sci-fi action
What
thing. So
vampire film?
Oh, I don't know, Mike.
Dread?
You
What?
picked-
are you thinking
Shalom.
Blade? Are you thinking Blade?
Yeah.
What? Okay. Jesus Christ. Oh my God. I think Dread is probably closer to Condorman than fucking Blade, isn't it? God damn.
Dan knew what I was talking about, so it fine.
I think it's just a D. It just ended in a D, has an E in it. So it was just like, yeah, Blade, Dread, same thing.
It's one word. It's kind of in that kind of genre.
Yeah,
and I was like,
thank you.
I guess because you're dyslexic, Dan. For you, you just rearrange it a bit.
I mean,
probably
we,
similar.
me and Megan might have ADHD.
Yeah, we're kindred
we're
spirits.
We're on the same wavelength.
We have
I'm
the
like,
same brain.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we got to watch Blade at some point for Disney discussions.
You understood.
But Christ. Right.
Is there anything else anybody else wants to say
God.
about this fucking pile of shit?
We'll recommend
Pile
it
of-
to the guys for
pile
VHS
of
Strikes Back.
food.
Because I
Fucking
want to hear what Chris and Dave
bullshit.
have to say about this. I think it'll be
Right.
quite
Well, that's
fun.
your VHS suggestion.
Yeah, that might be a good one.
I'll send it to him. I'll send it to him if they
Let's
want.
do
They
it.
can have
Yeah,
the
yeah.
DVD.
I did Train Spotting
I don't
last
want
time,
it.
so did Train Spotting last time. So it's a pretty even
Similar
scoring.
film.
One of the greatest films
Oh,
ever made
oh,
ever.
actually-
and then
actually-
Trainspotting.
Actually, there was two other things on the Wikipedia I did want to
God.
mention. So Marvel Comics did do a sequel, which had some of the villains come back and Natalia and everything.
And you're going to do it for the Patreon.
Fuck no.
Oh, you did the John Carter one. Come on.
Not if you
I'm a
pay me.
loyal supporter.
I mean, you are paying me technically, so no, I'll do something else. So when the Amazing Spider-Man came out, one of the when Disney acquired Marvel, that he suggested, one of the editors of Spider-Man, that they bring the Condorman into the MCU.
I would have loved that.
They essentially did, though, didn't they? What's that other
Vulture.
guy called? Him, yeah.
Vulture.
Yes.
Well, Vulture.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say someone said about putting Condorman as a villain for Spider-Man, and then someone else said we have. It's called the Vulture.
It's called the Vulture. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Why is
And
everyone
then on Disney Infinity, I don't know if you
said.
played that. That was like the plastic toy thing. And
Yeah.
It could be all the different characters throughout Disney. One of the power discs was the ability to use Condorman's wings, so you could use them more than twice. Than he did, more than he even did.
Just
But
glide
yeah,
with it.
that was it. That's all the trivia. I'm really done talking about this.
I was
Fucking
thinking of the Falcon.
Yeah,
I call this podcast on a wing and a prayer because I prayed for this to end because it was just
Yeah, and yet we've
you know.
spoken about it for 46 minutes.
yeah,
I could go on
which
more,
is-
but I won't.
Which is over half the length of the film.
I want to do a proper full-on pod of just Condorman, going through it scene by scene.
You can, not now.
Yeah.
Yeah, see you later.
Rocketeer then, I guess.
No, Mike, no. So moving on to The Rocketeer now. This is one of my favourites. It's fun, pulpy, very Indiana Jones style kind of action adventure, flights of fancy, set in the 30s, 40s era. It feels like a pulp hero, but actually he was created in the late 1980s by Dave Stevens. But he was emulating a lot of those kind of Buck Rogers, Doc Savage type of adventures, the Shadow, all those kind of characters that Scott talks about on 20th Century Geek quite a lot. So yeah, wonderful little, it's a wonderful little film. But let's go back to Megan again, because again, we want her to speak first before we say anything that she would say. So Megan, what did you think of the Rocketeer? We know you fell asleep.
Yeah, I did. No, I think I liked it. I enjoyed it. I'm like looking at Mike to get clarification of that. Actually,
I need your
like
approval.
it?
Did I like it? Do you remember? Did I say I liked it?
Yeah, no, I enjoyed it. I think I remember a lot more about this one than I do about Condorman. Like when we watched the trailer, I was like, oh, okay, yeah. No, I do remember a lot of this. Yeah, I thought it was interesting. I thought like some of the elements of it were a bit annoying, and I thought they were a bit pithy at points.
Okay.
Like the fact that a piece of gum can fix a hole
For the entire film.
for a really long period. Not only on that, but also on the plane. He doesn't do it. He just puts it on the thingy. and
Well,
that's-
it's a lucky thing. Yeah, it's for luck.
yeah. But Yeah, no, I enjoyed it. I thought the villain, like, obviously he's a villain, but like
Timothy
he was
Dalton.
an absolute sleaze, and he was just
Oh,
an
yeah.
absolute twat.
Yeah.
But like the main character in himself, I thought was quite nice. He's a very like sweet-hearted character. He's just like trying to do the best, but he's also a fucking idiot. Like when he goes to the
He's a
set,
bloke.
yeah. Well, when he goes to the set for his girlfriend to like go and speak to her because she's angry at him, and I'm like, first of all, she's angry at you. Leave her the fuck alone. Like, give her some space. Like, why are you going to her work, you weirdo? Secondly, he's like creeping around the backstage. I'm like, how did you even get there? Like, surely, like, if I were going to go visit Mike at work, I wouldn't start creeping around the back offices. Like, I would go to reception and I'd be like, I'm looking for this person. Can you tell me? Then he like absolutely destroys the set. And I'm just like, I don't understand how you can be so incompetent that this has happened. But otherwise, I enjoyed it. I just thought that bit was annoying.
What were some of the bits you did enjoy?
What bits did I enjoy? Oh gosh. I liked the bit where he flew the plane for the first time and they were like really pumped that the plane was going, and then he suddenly just randomly got caught in this like this scene where people were shooting at each other, which was quite funny.
Was that real, Dan? It looked quite real because I think I could spot the camera on the plane when they were flying.
Yeah, so they use a genuine version of that plane. So it was like one of the last remaining. I think it's the GB. I think they called it in the film. So they used, but they had to be very careful because if you land it poorly, it will. Apparently the landing gears are not very good, so they will snap and break. So it was kind of like an antique, but they did use the real version of that plane for that scene.
That's cool.
And there's the big monster man.
The big monster man. I don't.
Oh,
prosthetic
Lothar.
Yeah, he was a bit confusing as to why he was there. Like,
You need a Jaws or a
Yeah, he's a goon.
Yeah, he's a goon, isn't he? He's like
but he's just
like,
massive. Like, why? Why are you so big?
he does look like a Dick Tracy
Some
villain.
people are, Megan.
Yeah, can't believe you. How dare you? How dare you?
That we
I'm
found her
sorry.
prejudice is against tall
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
All you bloody tallies.
Oh,
Reaching the
you.
top shelf.
Yeah, get away.
Use a ladder like the rest of us.
How's the weather up there, Tawley?
Even though I'm fairly tall as a woman, but yeah. Although recently I did have to ask someone to grab
Self-hating
something.
Tawley.
I recently had to ask someone to grab something from the top shelf for me because it was right at the back, and I was like, I hated everything about that.
It's
So.
because you had to interact with a tall person. That was the problem.
I was like, oh
They
god.
touched, they touched my cereal. Oh god.
It was actually
With their really long fingers.
caster sugar. But the girlfriend, is she called Jenny?
Yeah.
Jenny Blake, yeah.
Yeah, she's all right. She's like, she's not boring. She's got like something to her. Like a lot of films like this, the like woman in it is just there for the sake of being there. She actually does like have a bit to her, which is quite nice. Yeah, I remember more about this film than I do the other one, but I at the same time also don't remember that much. So most of my views are very surface level.
That's all right. That's all right. As long as we have some views, we want some views or some opinions from you at least, minimum. But what about you, Ria? How was? I imagine you've seen this before.
I have seen it before. Right. I need to check with I Am Jack's Musings if we used to watch this as a kid, because I'm pretty certain we did. But I'm also worried that I've just lied, made that up. You never know. Enjoyable romp. Fantastic time watching this. Thoroughly happy compared to Condorman. Really enjoying myself. Billy Campbell, young, dumb, and hot. Serve me up that. Lovely. I'm here for that. Hello.
He was very much a
good
himbo,
looking.
wasn't he?
Yeah, and I was like,
He had the classic hair, didn't
fine
he?
with it.
He had the fringe that's too cool for the forehead. It's
Yeah. It's like
radiating
just
so much
bumbling
coolness.
around,
Oh.
and I'm like, still would,
DiCaprio
still would.
special.
Still doing, bumbling around, still doing. Jennifer Connelly, young, beautiful,
Yes.
sassy, do her
Yep.
as well. It's on the
100%.
list. Done.
Timothy Dalton,
Alan
stab
Arkin.
him!
Yeah, Timothy Dalton, I would stab. Alan
Name
Arkin,
Maddie.
Ah.
Neville Sinclair.
also hot, loving it.
Is that the
Green Lady.
Geppetto type in this?
Oh, Alan Arkin,
type?
Peavy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I liked him, the old man.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
just called him Geppetto because he had a moustache. I recognised him. What else is he? I wrote down his name, and then I looked him on
So
IMDb and forgot about him.
during weirdly, this is kind of set around World War II, or going into World War II. We did 2 films during World War II month that had Alan Arkin in. So we did Catch 22, and we did one of the Escapes from Sobibor. He was in both, and he unfortunately died that month as well. Really, like completely out of the blue, like no idea. But yeah, he's wonderful in this. This kind of master mechanic, very like simple, down to earth, very lovely, gentle man, and yeah, he's amazing in this. And you have Terry O'Quinn, who's Locke in Lost, as Howard Hughes.
Yeah.
A very nice version of Howard Hughes, not too weird.
I loved it. Not like the actual real crazy version of Howard Hughes. Not even like Leonardo DiCaprio trying to make Howard Hughes like
Who?
Who's Howard
personable.
Hughes?
Howard Hughes was he was kind of famous for making airplanes, and I don't know, and he was like kind of a Tony Stark-esque type.
Yes.
So he made films as well.
He was like a tech giant of the time, but he also he made films, and he knew lots of famous people, but he also had lots of mental health issues, including OCD, and like quite famously, basically just wanted to be locked in a bear room.
Yeah. So the Aviator, the film.
Yeah.
The film The Aviator is about him, and Leonardo DiCaprio plays him.
Oh, I thought it was about the sunglasses. I haven't seen the film. But
sorry, go on.
I was going to ask about this chap. So
This chap.
he's in this film. Is this
Yeah, so
another Marie Antoinette situation where I don't know the real person? So I'm like,
so he creates
away.
he creates the jetpack in this version. In the comic, I think.
Oh
it's another character,
Yeah, so he's like this tech inventor guy, and that's one of the things I really loved about this film. That like I'd sort of forgotten about, like all of the cheeky nods to that. Like I'd completely forgotten that they had Howard Hughes in this, and I loved
Clark Gable.
Clark Gable, exactly, and then obviously they've got the Hollywoodland sign, and how the Hollywoodland sign actually became the Hollywood sign. Obviously, that's not how it really happened, but I love all these cheeky nods, and I think for the time it's such a self-referential, self-knowing film that it is like we are parodying this and having some fun with it, and I felt that all the way through. Like everybody's just like being a bit silly but gets the assignment. Like Timothy Dalton, so good in this. Like absolutely love it. Like
he's an actor.
Yeah, and I love all the things, and he's saying all the lines from his films, and she's a film geek, which I also love. So we've got a woman, back in this time being a film geek. Like she's immersed in the film. She just doesn't want to be an actress. She knows everything about it. So she's saying that's a line from that film. That's a line from that film. And he's just so funny when he switches to his German accent. Like I was like proper belly laughing, it's just a really, really fun romp, and I really enjoyed that about it. And it's just silly. It knows what it is. It's not trying to be like a bit self-serious like Condorman, or like it has better direction than Condorman in general. And I was just like, yeah, I'm having a grand old time watching this.
Yeah, I agree. Mike, what did you feel? Like you've been waiting to talk about this film. You've been waiting for us to do it. So that's why I was like, Mike will love this. He's ready. He's been gearing up for it.
Knew nothing about it. I would say I enjoyed Condorman more. I didn't. I didn't. I want to see your reactions.
I knew that was a lie. I knew it.
Yeah, no, I didn't. Condorman is
check into the hospital, Mike, the mental health hospital immediately.
It is a bad film. Rocketeer, yeah, I really enjoyed this. Really thought it was a lot of fun. I like the fact, building off what Rhea said, about I really like urban myth kind of things where something references, like Forrest Gump does it, and I know Jack hates Forrest Gump and he's wrong for that, where it's like little ways to weave it into real life. Obviously we love fantasy, the world of Harry Potter, as well as, Star Wars and Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon, like things that are, some of them are meant to kind of be based in reality, but a lot of them are fantasy. They're away. Even things like Narnia. Stuff happens away from the real world, and they're cool. Then you get, drama films, which are purely real world stuff. I think David Fincher kind of plays with that quite hard, but it's still, everything's meant to be realistic and grounded within reason. With films like this, it's just a little bit of fantastical. And that's kind of how Harry Potter starts, I think, the first couple of films, and after that it just goes full fantasy. But I think there's so many films which, a lot of them are family films, where it's about just normal life, but one element comes in and changes it. And I like how that weaved in with the history of Hollywood, 1938. We have the Hollywoodland sign and those kinds of things, and the references to, some of the films or the actors at the time. And it felt like it was in this era, but it felt like it was made... At the start, it felt like it was almost made in that era, but very tastefully done. Like
It does feel older.
Yeah, in a really good way. It felt like this is the golden age of cinema. The golden age of cinema is not the best age of cinema, but there's certain... It kind of... That's where it all started in a way, and there's certain things they do. And I felt like when we watched 12 Angry Men a couple of months ago now, probably it might be the oldest film I've ever seen. Phenomenal. The way it's all done is kind of like filming a stage performance, and this at times had elements of that. It was trying to give homage to the golden age of cinema without a lot of the faults. We spoke about Condorman, made 10 years prior. The premises in these films, on paper, loosely could be considered similar. But I think with these, it's got, a really strong female, not female lead. She's, I'd say probably more of a co-star, but I don't know how leads and co-stars, it all confuses me. So she's a great...
She's not the protagonist, is she?
No,
she's
not
she
the main
would be classed
character.
as a supporting character.
Yeah. And Jennifer Connelly absolutely smashes it in this film, and she's got agency. She's strong. She sniffs out, a Neville Sinclair, and she's like playing with him at points. She kind of gets it, but she's got her own mind about it, while also still being romantically entangled with the main character, Cliff. But they've already got history. So there's none of this bullshit where they go on one adventure and they're loving each other immediately. They have history. He's been a bit of a dick about things. She's kind of being like, you need to step up. And in this film, it's him kind of learning to step up while being this fantastical thing without it being too unrealistic. It's not like an Iron Man suit, which is cool as hell, but you're like, especially if that was in this time, you'd be like, how's that possible? But it's just a jetpack. And then right at the start, they go,
Well, it looks like
destroy
Thingy's suit.
the
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, Star-Lord.
Oh, yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
I
It
can
looks
see
like
that a
his
little bit.
suit.
Yeah, I can see that, actually. But, because it's a simple premise. It's a jetpack. And the guy destroys the plans, and it's basically, how do you make a jetpack? And the only thing that's mystical is the guy who's created it has made it so that it doesn't literally burn you while you're wearing it, because it's so hot. And you're like, how does he do that? We don't know. Destroy the plans, get rid of them. I don't want anyone else getting this. And it's like, cool. There's a reason for this suit being people wanting to get it. People, different factions want it. It's realistic enough. It's got enough use, but it's not like an invincibility suit. It just feels like everything in this film is thought out and very well balanced, and has a really nice aesthetic to it as well. Like the Rocketeer outfit is really cool. It's really simple, but it doesn't look ahead of its time. Yeah. And I think that's what I like about this. You've got all the benefits of like a fairly modern film, for the time, for the 90s, while doing homage to these olden kind of film. And it made me think of those like golden age comics, like the serials. It's not that complex. It's you've got something that the baddies want. Who's the best baddie in cinema? To quote Tony Freena, it's a Nazi. There's no moral grades with Nazis. You just know they're bad.
That also has a British accent to begin with.
Yeah, which obviously
I love
British
that,
people
though.
are always evil.
Yeah, I love that though, that he's slowly throughout the film, as he is revealed, you hear like, I was only acting, all this.
I love it.
The German accent.
It's one of my favourite
kind of...
bits. It's one of my favourite bits when he goes full on German. I love it.
Yeah.
It's so, and he does it with such glee as well. Like he just does this little flair. I absolutely love it.
The flamboyancy,
It's-
the charm, the creepiness. It's all great from Dalton.
It's like you said, Mike, about the suit. What I really like about it is the reason they can make him the Rocketeer is because they are engineers, because they create planes and they fly and they understand it and they understand aerodynamics. And I love that. I love that grounded in reality part of it. And it looks cool. And it's like, well, if I find a jetpack, am I just going to chuck on my bicycle helmet? Or am I going to make myself a cool helmet and put on a cool jacket and fly around looking cool? Well, clearly you're going to do the latter. And I love as well that it's like, let's make ourselves look cool while doing this.
I feel like if this came out in the early 2000s, I think the problem is it came out at a time where people really wanted really, really actiony films or ridiculously edgy films. And the family blockbuster, things like, Jurassic Park and stuff, had yet to come. But that's much more of a big Hollywood kind of massive film. This feels like quite a really cool film, but it feels like a slightly a smaller film, almost not quite an indie film. But it doesn't feel like the behemoth of Disney made it. If you said some random side studio made it, I'd be like, you know what, they've done quite well here, but I can see how that would be the case. And I just feel if this was released in a different way, even if it was released just exactly as it is, it's a special remastering in like the early 2000s or something, and they really went ham in the artwork, because at Disneyland, that's what makes me think of The Rocketeer. They've got some very specific artwork of him in just two-tone, not dissimilar to your background, Rhea, but it's side-on, two-tone. I think it's on the DVD, or you see it in the film at some point, and it's just like black and bronze or something, and it looks so stunning and so simple, and it works so well, and I'm like, I don't get why this film didn't work that well. I don't know if, Dan, you know the reasons why behind the scenes, or...
So it's directed by Joe Johnston, who created the Ewoks, created Boba Fett. So he's, again, I'm referencing Star Wars. Damn. So he's, and the reason he got Captain America: The First Avenger and he directed that was due to this film. They went, you can do this, because again, and I'm pretty sure he worked on Indiana Jones as well, so he's familiar with that kind of aesthetic.
Very Indiana Jones.
Yeah, exactly, and that's kind of, I think, what works about it. A lot of the kind of, he's just kind of, a lot of it is kind of him looking out. And again, it's not like Condorman where he is an absolute buffoon. Like it's a guy who, he's fallible. He's flying, and then he does a salute, turns it off, and falls. There's a lot of Iron Man here, I think, as well. That first Iron Man film, there's a lot of that, and Captain America, clearly
those
to a
two
degree.
put together, kind of.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the problem with both of these films is they were trying to capture success of previous films. So we had, Condorman is coming off the back of the success of Superman. This is coming off the back of Batman, 1989. So they're very much kind of going, we can do our own superhero thing. Let's do it. And again, I don't think it gets to those kind of heights, unfortunately. But I think as a kind of a cult classic, a Disney cult classic, it really works. I want to talk about the score, because I think the score is gorgeous, by James Horner, the composer of Titanic, and I think he did The Amazing Spider-Man as well. I think it's a gorgeous kind of wonderful kind of rising score that kind of captures the era, but also the kind of, I don't know, the flying element and the kind of soaring against the clouds. I love the special effects. I think they still hold up for the most part. A lot of practical stuff. There's real. The air show
bit, I think, is an absolute highlight. Sorry to cut you off, Dan, but
stand out.
When it's like I love practical effects. Meg and I were talking when we were doing an afterthoughts on Everything Everywhere All at Once, and we were talking about the fighting choreography of that as a standout, because when someone like Ke Huy Quan is doing his own stunts, you don't have to cut away. That's the problem with a lot of Marvel Disney films, is it's constantly cutting away, and that's why I like Star Wars stuff, because a lot of the time, I did the reference, a lot of the time they train the actors to use lightsabers for long periods of time, so they don't have to necessarily use stunt doubles all the time. So I like that in this film, with the air show, you've got the planes taking off, which is really cool. And then when he's climbing on the plane that's kind of crashing and stuff, I thought the way it feels so tense, it looks amazing. It feels like a homage to like the way they would kind of do old stunts. And the way it looks, you go, there's one or two parts where you notice it's green screen. But for most of it, you think, this looks like it could be like a Tom Cruise genuinely in the air stunt.
But to be fair, even when you do notice it's green screen, it's not even that bad. Like, there are films that have come out like in more recent years where you see a green screen and you're like, oh, what the fuck is that? Like, what is that? Like, I didn't really think any point of this like took me out of it.
We thought it was a bit weird to begin with when the camera on the plane was so close. We thought the effect
that was hilarious, yeah.
But it was
it's
so
just his
close
giant
to him.
head in
Yeah,
the bubble.
And we were like, what's going on with the effects? And then when it did an opening shot, I was like, I don't think that's an effect. I think
It makes
the
me
camera's
think
too
of those
close
weird
to him.
cameras that people have at the moment.
point of view, the fisheye
it's
lens.
Like it's not even a fisheye. It's like the whole.
Oh, it's the circle
It's
one.
like the whole circle. It's not a fisheye.
Like a
but
panoramic. Yeah. But that we were like, whoa, what the hell? And then we were like, oh no, that's a real camera. It looks like, and it's when it's on the plane, it's so close to the cockpit. You're like, oh, okay, I can see now why it's so close to his face. But aside from that, I thought really well made. The airshow bit, especially. Sorry, Dan.
Yeah. I want to talk about the creator, Dave Stevens, a little bit. Tragically, he died. He had hairy cell leukemia. He was in this film. He makes a cameo. I think he's the test pilot when they're showing the film Howard Hughes. I think he's the first guy who wears the jetpack and explodes. I don't know if that's the kind of cameo I would want, but I guess it's kind of funny. But he was again, this wonderful creator. This was all part of the kind of independent comic boom where the kind of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were coming from. There was a lot of success in the kind of independent market. And like this was, he was inspired by Jack Kirby. He met Jack Kirby, and Jack said, "Do your own thing. Don't imitate anybody else. Do your own thing. Capture what you capture best." And this was kind of his thing. He would do pin-ups. He was married to Brink Stevens, who was a kind of a horror actress, and she did a lot of kind of pin-up and nude kind of photos and stuff, and they would do it together. And he would model for him for the comic book, because in the comic book, Jenny Blake, in this they make her into kind of a Hollywood starlet, but in the comic book is actually Betty Page, who was kind of a a topless model, was one of the first of her kind. She was kind of a pioneer of the kind of S&M kind of stuff as well at the time, which was again very risque back then in the kind of whatever era. I think it was kind of 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s kind of era. And he actually went out of his way, because he was going to use Betty Page in the book. He went out of his way to help her, because she had some horrific kind of mental health issues as well in her time. And he went out of his way to make sure she got money from all these different magazines that were still using her work. And that's why he put her in this. And I'm not sure if it's either that Disney didn't particularly want her to be featured, or someone to play Betty Page in this, or whether Betty Page didn't want her likeness or someone playing her in the film. I'm not entirely sure. But I can understand if Disney didn't particularly want to, Disney's going to Disney, as Sarah Coyne said on one of the X-Men podcasts. I can understand why they would be like, maybe let's not do that part of it. But I think the Hollywood starlet Jenny Blake thing works for me, because it kind of, she's a struggling actress, and she's got a lot of agency. She doesn't put up with any shit from Billy Campbell, the Rocketeer, or from Cliff and all the other characters, and Neville. Like she's knocking people out, and she's got great lines. Do you drug all your girls to seduce them? And he's like, I'm a horrible Nazi. Oh. I love that bit in the blimp as well. The other Nazi guys just shouting German at him, and the subtitles is just like shouting German. It's like, and then he just goes, "You actor." And then he's like, right, now I can kill you. And I was like, that's a real insult, calling someone an actor, isn't it? It's only acting. But yeah, he's got some of the best dialogue in this. Like you said, like the kind of references to all the kind of people, like when W.C. Fields comes over and like literally stares at Jennifer Connelly's chest directly, and there's a shot that is actually just her bosom. It was very weird and creepy, but it was kind of fitting in a way, to a sense, to what he is and who he is.
I don't know who he was, but
yeah,
that
I think
shot,
he was a movie producer or director or something, some Hollywood type.
I got I feel like it was, that shot was like, I almost felt like Jennifer Connelly was kind of like consenting to it, in a sense of like,
yes.
This is the one shot, there's no real male gazy stuff in this whole film, and that one shot is literally just showing this guy is clearly a piece of shit, and she reacts to that and knows, and is like, I don't want to be left alone with him, but I have to. But when she's like, I can't just outright shout at him. I have to kind of play the game to get him to think he wants to leave, because that's how you have to play with these kinds of, air quotes, powerful misogynists and things. It's like,
absolutely.
And I thought a lot of that was just in like a few seconds, and I was like, that felt really clever. A good way to, the male gazy stuff to be, we're not going to do that in this film, and actually we're going to point out the fact why it's not right, in a sense, without hitting you over the head with it. I did like that part.
But it does a lot of that. It does a lot of the bad Hollywood from that era stuff that I really enjoy as well. Like if you listen to You Must Remember This, the podcast, and Katrina Longworth talks a lot about like different periods in Hollywood, and you look back to that period, and it's, it was the casting couch, and it was women got cast because producers, directors fancied them, or even an agent did, or even like an accountant did. And I like that all throughout it like has little nods to that, and she wants to be an actress because she is talented. She doesn't want it for any other reason. There's multiple instances throughout where they're talking about other actresses who got the part, and like, you could have got this part, or you should have done this, and it's between her and a female acting colleague passes the Bechdel test. Like it's not talking. It's talking around those things without being hard hitting and depressing. And without beating us around the head about it, because this is a fun, jolly romp, and I think it does the same with, it's one of my favorite things, found family. Like, this is a found family film. This is a bunch of people who all love each other and support each other and are friends and are their family. You know, it almost feels like a small town film at some points. You forget that they're in LA, they're in Hollywood, you know, when they're like in a diner together and all of that sort of things. It feels like, you know, it's like a Midwest film, like it's like a little community. And I sort of, it's a very knowing film. It brings all these elements together and it really knows what it's doing. And I think that comes across when you watch it, especially when you watch it in 2024.
One of my, speaking of found family, I think one of my favorite characters in the whole thing is Malcolm, who is the like First World War fighter pilot. He's a little bit, you can tell he's a little bit shell shocked. He's a little bit kind of wobbly. Hasn't flown in 25 years.
Oh yeah.
And he means so well. And he's trying to fix the girl's little plane and drops the wheel in it, splashes on Jenny Blake. And then when Cliff isn't there and he's going to lose his job and he's going to lose his money, he goes up and he hurts himself. The plane fails. But I really liked his character because he means well and he apologizes and he kind of sticks his foot in his mouth or his foot in it. But I thought he was kind of really genuine well. And again, there's not a lot of screen time. There's a lot he does or adds to the plot. But I love that kind of world building that all these people on this airstrip, they care and they love each other. And you've got character actress Margot Martindale running that little Bulldog cafe as well, which I love. That was a lovely little note. But yeah, I think all the characters are well placed and even the guy who runs the airfield, I can't remember the actor's name, but he's in The Crow as well. And I love that Lothar, the giant guy, just folds people in half. I fucking love that, like a fucking beach chair. He's just folding people in half. And again, you do that kind of classic naming convention for the superhero. You give him a cheesy name, like the newspaper guys give him a cheesy name. Definitely the worst kept secret identity probably in any film I've ever seen. Like they are the worst. They're like, we've got to hide, we've got to do this, and they're like, it's this guy. It's definitely this guy. There's no other guys it could be. It's definitely Cliff Secord and his mate Peavy. Yeah, I even love. I tell you what, I really loved as well. Again, not what it's representing, but I thought the way they created that Nazi kind of propaganda film. It's wonderfully animated, and the jetpacks they use in it are the original jetpacks from the comic. I recommend the comic, by the way. Go check out the original Dave Stevens comic. They're gorgeous, brilliant, lots of fun.
When did they come out?
Like late 80s, kind of late 80s, mid to late 80s, but they've been rejigged up, and the inking's a lot better and stuff. But
This was made because they were a hit, is that right?
yeah, absolutely, yeah, huge hit, very popular. He didn't make many of them, but there's enough there for you to have a good time with. There's a bumper collection I think IDW put out, so I highly recommend giving those a go if you enjoyed the film.
I thought the animated part was amazing though. It did make me think of that old school. It made me think of like Fallout. Not the series, I haven't watched that yet, but the game Fallout 3 and New Vegas, the war happened, the apocalypse happens, in the 30s. So the only stuff you get to see is black and white, smiling face people, nuclear families, that kind of, the Nazi propaganda machine was like that. And I think one of my favourite little tropes, one of my favourite things about sort of period films is not like Downton Abbey style period films. Mine is more so when it does social commentary. And the best example I can give is there's an animated show called F is for Family. I haven't watched it all. I've watched the first few series.
Yeah. Oh, we haven't watched that in ages.
No, we haven't. It's really good, but like the adverts in that series, especially the first couple series, kill me because it's adverts in like the 70s. And it's like, here's the new toy for your kid. It's Elmo, but with a knife. It's stabby Elmo. And it's because the joke, obviously, that health and safety didn't exist then. And it's like, hey, here's the easy bake your own oven. Just don't keep it on for more than 5 seconds or you're going to burn the whole house down. But here, you can give it to a nice little toddler. And it's that, knowing what the era was, knowing why some people liked it and what worked and what was important in the era, but also all the problems of that era. And when you make something that's set decades after, looking back on it, that's what I think works so well in a lot of films when they do it right, is to point out the problems, like the whole chest-looking scene, point out the problems of the era and the time without repeating the mistakes and also without it just being a nudge, nudge, wink, wink kind of moment, Being clever, but referencing things. Like when you get, like Stranger Things is quite a good example of doing that era, people who lived in that era, like I remember doing that stuff. I remember that being on the radio.
Well, yeah, with Stranger Things, there's like instances where they've gone into, I think it's that 70s show, and they got two of the characters from Stranger Things to wear the same outfits that the two main characters wear in that 70s show, so that it shows that all of the like costuming is similar, which is just a fun little tidbit. But
Yeah, that kind of thing. Just passion about eras. You know, the era of the 30s. You know, lots of, excluding the start of the war, lots of problematic stuff that happened then, but also lots of important stuff that happened then. And it's getting that balance right of not just going, this is the worst era ever, while also not going, this era is perfect. You go, no, here's just a story.
There's a lot of like rose-tinted glasses. A lot of people look back on like.
I think the set falling down is like meant to be. Oh yeah. I only just think of it now. Is meant to be like not a parallel. It's like a metaphor. Yes. It's kind of he's going in
Hollywood,
and he's
fake.
getting rid of the old ways, and he's like the new way of doing things. I think that might be a. But I quite like that scene where that bloke gets stabbed as well.
Yeah, it's pure
So
like he's an Errol. He's trying to be an Errol Flynn. That's what they're trying to do. Like Errol Flynn, if you look him up, is a bit of a dodgy fella. But he was like Robin Hood and all these kind of heroic pirates.
He was swinging on ropes quite a lot, wasn't it?
Yeah,
kind of
proper swashbuckler, and that's that's absolutely what they're doing. I love when the girl does the line and they're like, maybe we'll try that again.
And she's the director's like
the niece or producer's niece or something.
Yeah, and everyone is talking like, why is she in this film? Oh, she's the niece of the director's here, or one of the main producers or something. And they're like, oh, she's. And he's like, can you try it again? But good. It's that kind of thing.
And then they do it again, and the distraction causes Neville Sinclair to stab his fellow actor. And he's like, did you think I was stealing the scene? Wonderful stuff. Just so much lovely humour, and like we said, very topical stuff. Yeah, and I love the actresses talking again, like Ria said, talking together and talking about getting the roles and things like that, and how Hollywood works, and being kind of like fed up with the system. I love the mum who the kind of house mum who's like, you better get back before 11. That's my curfew. We don't let boys in after 7. And she's brilliant. She's in Daredevil. She's the one that Bullseye flicks a peanut into her gob and she chokes on it. If you remember that scene from Daredevil.
Is that in the Affleck movie?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that one.
I was going to
It's
say
on the plane. Yeah.
Yeah, she's talking, and he's like, "Shut the fuck up!" And like,
it's Colin Farrell as Bullseye,
the guy from In Bruges.
Yes, exactly him. Yeah, so I love that.
Now Ria's laughing because that's a film that he's not known that well for.
Such a good reference, because In Bruges is one of my favourite films. But I just love Colin Farrell from In Bruges.
Yes, purely only In Bruges. But yeah, I think
classic comedy film.
It's one of my favorites, and I always bring this one up and try and share it with as many people as possible, because I think it's like we said, it's a fun romp. Again, it has a lot of fun to it. There's a lot of humor to it. There's charm. There's passion. You can see there's a lot of time invested in it. There's a lot of world building they've done, and kind of harking back to those kind of classic eras. Yeah, absolutely. Anything else anybody wants to say about The Rocketeer, Megan?
Yeah, that's what I thought. No.
Were you shaking your head?
Shut up! You shut up, patriarchy, Mike. You shut up.
Yeah, patriarchy, Mike.
Misogynist, Mike.
Yeah, that's me.
Why are you saying it's my turn to talk? I have nothing else to say, really. Like whenever you like, when I've said this before, I think it's when you're like, oh, the soundtrack to this film is really good. And I'm like, I don't fucking know what the sound.
If it's not a Disney film,
unless it's not High School Musical, you're like.
Yeah.
No
exactly.
idea what they're doing.
It could have been for the entire thing, and I couldn't tell you. Like I don't know anything about this. Like I enjoyed this film. It was fine. It was all right. I enjoyed it, and that's all I have to say on the matter.
I mean, I would say that I quite like this, and I wouldn't mind owning this on like Blu-ray or something.
You don't need to own everything on Blu-ray.
Everything I like. Just you never know when Disney are going to take stuff off Disney Plus. If there's anything on there that we need, it's like I want to own things like Andor, and also I don't want to ideally have a Disney Plus subscription forever. But who knows? They are in Disney discussions, so maybe. But I think
Megan's face just massively dropped when you said that. Like, I don't want to have a Disney Plus subscription forever.
How can I watch High School Musical?
How?
I mean, you've got no.
I need to see High School Musical 2. I need to see that problematic song again.
That didn't come out. That's a deleted scene. Although, right, I will say, and I didn't mention this to you because I can't remember if it was yesterday or today, but you were listening to something that had High School Musical 2 in it because you were watching a reel or something. Because I heard it from upstairs, and I was like, why are you listening to that?
Oh,
because it's fantastic.
I think it's one that
I love that you're so tuned in to High School Musical that like watching a reel downstairs and you're like, Ears up. Hello.
Don't even. When we were in the Lake District, my brother was listening to a reel again, and it was the starting song to one of the things in High School Musical 3.
Oh, he played for like
He literally played it for a split second, and I went, because that's the note that Gabriella does. And my brother looked at me and was like, "How the fuck could you possibly know that was that song in that space of time?"
Note.
And I was like, High School Musical,
like 0.2 of a second. But I would say with Rocketeer, I think I'd like to own it because don't know what Disney's going to do with it, but also I think it'd be good to show kids, not like proper young kids, but I think it's one of those fun. It doesn't have to be a giant franchise, massive thing. It can just be a one cool, fun, different film. But I would say this film I really think would work if they did like a modern reboot. In a sense of like, I like the reboot-quels, I think what they're called, if the term is right. You know, it's a reboot and it's a sequel. Where you don't have to have seen the original one, but it also there'll be a little homage. It's in the same universe. Like I would quite like them to do a Rocketeer, and maybe they do what Indy does, where they set it 20 years later or 30 years later, so it's in like the 60s, 70s, 80s.
What would they be fighting?
Just leave it be.
Just have Nazis again. No, I don't mean.
Just
I want more.
always
I like this.
Let's not reboot and remake everything.
I don't want there to be a billion shared universes.
There is already talk of a reboot. There has been a
indie films. More independent films.
I'm with you.
Yeah, but this is,
they won't do it, but I'm with you.
I know it's Disney and stuff like that, but the thing is that this. I just think it's such a cool film, and if they did one and they got the actors back, like what if the heartthrob in this he plays the Geppetto character.
Stop calling him Geppetto. It doesn't make
he
sense.
gets a nice moustache.
Campaigning for 13 Angry Men. No.
The thing is not every film.
Be.
Not every film needs a sequel. I agree, but what would be cool
Stop
about this?
reminding Rhea of Pinocchio, please.
Yeah, good point. Actually,
that's for setting her off. But the thing, there's certain films
twat.
which I think are okay to have sequels, and I don't want like loads of pointless over and over again sequels. I just think this idea is quite nice. It would be nice to revisit it, and also with the scale of what is happening in the MCU and to a degree the Star Wars films.
I don't think it would do that well.
No, with the scale of what the MCU and Star Wars and all these other superhero films keep doing, can I please not keep
Mike's
repeating
getting
it?
sassy.
I'm just trying to say, and I'm trying to not lose a train of thought and then have to restart for a third time, is that I'm sick of films where the world is going to end, or it's going to be the universe is going to be over if we lose, because there are no stakes, and I'm sick of it. I'm sick of every MCU film being like, if we don't do this, the fabric of reality will fall apart and everyone will die.
It's always very Ex Machina.
Yeah, and you're like, well, nothing. In the original, the films before Avengers, in the Marvel films, it was just like, there's a baddie we got to stop. He's going to take over this, or he's going to make loads of money on that, or whatever. It's insular. And this feels. I know eventually they're trying to stop the Nazis getting the jetpack technology, blah, but it's not quite there yet. They're not fighting off 1 million Nazis in this giant factory with everything exploding. It's like a couple of people. It's a smaller cast. And I would like them to do a film which is superhero-esque, that isn't just another origin story, and the stakes are quite low. It's just a small town somewhere in America, and it's under threat, and the person who's there is going to wipe the town out or something, and no one would even notice, and that's kind of the plan. And people keep saying, like, who cares? There's only 200 people in there, as opposed to it being this giant galactic event. That's what I think I would like to have another go at The Rocketeer for, because I like the theme of it. I don't want it to merge into the MCU and him have to fight off 1 million people. I like the insular superhero story. I think they're most of the best ones, to be honest.
There is talk of a reboot or a remake currently. So I think I think he played Martin Luther King in what was it called?
Let me
Judas the
use
Black
our
Messiah?
vibes.
What was it called?
Malcolm X.
Wait, wasn't there a film that we
was-
watched recently?
Martin Luther King film.
I haven't seen any Martin Luther King films.
Mr. Luther King film.
I think
What was it?
Like David Oyelowo?
Yes, that's him. That's exactly the man I'm thinking of. So he is. He's been cast as like the what they're doing. They're reimagining it. That he's like a Tuskegee Airmen, which was like a group of a black airmen, like the film Red Tails or Tuskegee Airmen. There's another film about them. And then he's going to become the Rocketeer. This version is going to become the Rocketeer, which I think sounds interesting. I don't know if it'll ever take off, pun intended. But we'll see. But there was a little kids cartoon called The Rocketeer, where Billy Campbell came back and he played Cliff Secord's great grandson, and he passed on the mantle to a young girl, and it's all very kiddie. It's she's in pink and doing her thing. It is available on Disney Plus.
I saw that on. I saw it as a Disney Junior.
Yes.
I saw it was like
it is, yeah.
It's a bit young even for me. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, it's not. It's like proper young, not like
it's young.
not like it's a kids thing, but like Disney Pixar suitable for adults. It's like no, this is.
You literally watched Star Wars Jedi Adventures.
But
That's
we've watched a third of it because I haven't gone back to it. There's a couple of characters that are in the High Republic
when you
books
guys
that I
have
want to see.
kids, Mike is going to
You've
be
got-
like, there's going to be
Where
a
is he?
3-year-old, and he's like, no, you will only watch Star Wars Rebels. You will not watch the young ones.
There he is.
You got
Nubs.
Nubs.
There
Oh
you go.
yeah, that young.
Well, Nubs is but the thing is, we haven't even watched all this. We've watched like a third of it. So
And you
because
bought
I'm
a toy
not
of
that
it.
into it, I'm watching it
I bought the toy for
Oh,
him.
okay, fair enough.
as a
fair
gift.
enough.
Just, yeah, then
It
she
was
mocks me
it was
for it.
reduced to clear in Argos.
And then she mocks me for it because I put it up in my special little cave. And I should put it up on a show so everyone can see it in podcast, and then she mocks me for it in front of everyone.
How did you get Mike so many presents for his birthday? Well, I went into Argos and I just got the
Went to
whole
the reduced to clear
shelf.
section. Yeah.
What's fucking cheap? Let's do it. There was something else I was going to mention. I completely forgot. Oh, yes. Paul Savino. I forgot to mention Paul Savino in this as Eddie Valentine, the mobster in it. I absolutely
because he's
love
like
his
Goodfellas, isn't
character.
he? Is he
Yeah,
Big
he is.
Paulie?
He's Big Paulie in Goodfellas.
Oh, he's probably my favourite character in Goodfellas. Probably because he's the only person who isn't genuinely the worst person in existence. All the main characters in Goodfellas, you're like, oh, you're probably
still
the
not
worst
great.
person ever.
He's still not
and then the
great.
next person does something,
How
and
you-
you're like, no, you're the worst person.
What's his
ever.
name?
Paul Savino. Paul
Yeah, there he
Savino.
is.
He plays
Yeah.
basically
Film
plays.
producer.
He basically plays a
Mobster,
a
innit?
mobster in everything. He's the dad of Mia Sorvino. He died not so long ago, but I love that line about he's like I don't make an honest book, but I'm 100% American and I don't work for no 2-bit Nazi, which kind of
Yeah.
reminded me of when like the Joker teamed up with the Red Skull when they did a Marvel DC crossover, and he was like, I might be insane, but I'm not a fucking fascist, which I quite enjoy. But yeah. Brilliant little character, and again, just like the kind of mob element I enjoyed, and it kind of it works, and I love that the FBI kind of team up with the mob at the end once they know that the Nazis are the baddies, which is kind of apparently quite a real life thing. A lot of these kind of Jewish mobsters or Italian mobsters wouldn't have anything to do with Mussolini or Hitler or anything, which I thought was a really cool of
their
real life
morals.
element. Exactly, yeah, inscrutable morals that all these
All of their
mobsters
morals
have.
that they have.
Yeah, I mean, the
Yeah, that's
FBI,
it.
yeah. I know what you're saying. The FBI have not got good morals, have they, guys?
Absolutely.
Oh, the mobsters. Yes, of course. No. Sorry. Oh, I did the old switcheroo. Sorry.
Yeah, but yeah, I had a great time. I love Jennifer Connelly was great in it, and she's got a lot of cool moments, and she looks absolutely stunning in this film as well. But yeah, just great. Anything else anybody wants to say before we come to a close?
I was trying to think of a rocket pun. This film really took off. There we go. Yeah, it was great. I thoroughly enjoyed this. I think Condorman was crap, but I enjoyed it because I knew how crap it was. This was like I knew nothing about it. I just knew the suit loosely, and I went in knowing basically nothing. It was just a really at its core, I think beyond anything, it's just a fun movie. Yeah. And there's layers around it that's cool about where it was set, some of the things it has to say, obviously the dialogue, but at the end of the day, it's just a fun, solid family movie that just works on pretty much every level. Is it the best film ever? No, but it's a really solid in pretty much every metric, I'd say.
I agree. So did it live up to your expectations? Because I imagine they were quite high.
Yeah, it wasn't what I thought it was going to be like, which is good, actually. Because I was worried it was going to be, as much as I love steampunky stuff, I worried it was going to be really, really steampunky and really like going ham with all the mechanics of it all. And it wasn't. It wasn't about this one inventor who was creating the ultimate suit. And it wasn't. It was just something fell on this an average Joe's lap. And he's just trying to do good. And it's like, how can you hate that?
Absolutely. I might even go back and read the comic book now. I'm feeling in the vibe.
Do that on Patreon and then also do the Condorman one.
I'm not doing.
If you don't, I'll reduce the amount I'm paying you on Patreon.
My God.
I would not do that. That would be so mean. That would be so mean.
I've just had one of my patrons leave, Mike. Let's not have another one, all right? Let's
Great,
not have another
I'm
one.
can
here
beg
for
it
it.
to
I
read it.
support you, Mike.
To be fair, joking aside to everyone listening out there, it also, even though Dan and I have Patreon supports and stuff, if I make Dan do this, he has to pay real money to get the Condorman thing. So he has to use a percentage of either a month or several months of income from Patreon, which he uses to fund the podcast, to buy a comic he doesn't want to read. That I imagine is probably quite hard to get because I imagine it'd be quite hard to get, surely, because no one will want it unless you get the digital.
It will either be, because it's out of print, it will either be really expensive or it'll be dirt cheap. It'll be one or two. There was no middle ground for those kind of books. I was looking at some Planet of the Apes ones the other day, and I was like, nope, no, thank you. Again, but that's it. So I guess are we doing the wheel again? Do we do the wheel? Do we?
Yeah, well, it's basically between.
Oh, fortune!
Or do you want to flip a coin?
It's between Megan and I. We can do the wheel out of fun. I don't think there is a coin up here.
I don't know if can I share your screen, or can you replace your screen?
StreamYard? I don't know. I mean, it's a very easygoing website.
Can you move your mouse?
Oh, there is a button. Sorry.
Okay.
Can you move the mouse onto your side, please?
Yes.
Maybe if I tell you what,
there is a button that says present.
Oh my gosh, Michael!
There is a button that says present. So I could
if I do this, and then if you present, that might just move us.
So, mate, have you decided what you're doing yet? Are we gonna reveal what we're both doing, or should we just spin the wheel and let people know after that? See what happens. Okay. Let's go over to.
So you try
present.
I'm hoping
share screen. Blah 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 blah. Share screen. Here we go.
Is that working?
That one. Click the tab to share. I think it's.
No, you need to click the tab. What are you doing?
Great content, everyone.
No,
Great
go
content.
back.
I'm there.
I mean, cut this out.
No.
Watch.
There. I'll keep it all this in.
Can you guys see that?
Yes, I can add it. There we go.
Can you see it?
Yeah, you see it?
Yep.
Cool.
Sharing it. I'm sharing it.
Spinnery doodah, spinnery day.
Here we go.
Huzzah. What's it going to be?
Who's it going to be?
It's going to be...
It is you!
What a day, what a day. Oh, my Lord.
Right, don't worry. We didn't see that. We did not see that.
What happened? I just saw the time knife.
By the way, guys, I've got StreamYard and we're kind of experimenting. We're figuring things out, so bear with us. But we're working stuff out. So, but I think that worked pretty well.
It did, and it's Megan. So I'm last, unfortunately. How upsetting. Save the best for last. AA. What have you decided, Megan?
I was flitting between one, and then Mike was like, I think you should be nice and not do this. So
she was going to
give
choose
everyone a
Camp
break.
Rock.
I was going to do Camp Rock 1 followed by Camp Rock 2.
Which is like High School Musical, but it's actually worse, Dan. Like the songs in Camp Rock.
I'm here for it.
They're not.
Camp Rock 2 in particular is so fucking cringe.
It's just
but
both of them.
I have not gone for that.
Thank you.
Because it is
I appreciate
because in honor of Willow Billow, and it is her birthday today. So as of recording this,
who's our dog?
Willow, our dog is a whole 2 years old today. So I'm thinking like dogs and friendships. So I'm thinking Lady and the Tramp and The Fox and the Hound.
Ooh. I've not seen either of those forever.
What?
Forever.
I've watched Fox and Hound
Lady
since I
and
had
the
it on
Tramp
VHS.
and Fox and the
I
Hound.
love Fox and Hound. I love Lady and the Tramp.
And then I did also think about Bolt, but I thought that was like a different kind of film. Do you know what I mean?
Also, I have to watch Bolt a lot because MJ really likes it.
Okay. I've never seen Bolt, to be honest.
I found it quite forgettable, Bolt, I'll be honest.
It is.
I've only seen it the once.
I
Really
imagine that
forgettable.
because we're obviously going to be doing this for the rest of our lives, so we're going to have plenty of decades to get through all the Disney films.
Don't
And
get
at some
rid of that.
point-
Don't get rid of that subscription, Mike. If you're going to do it for the rest of your life.
Well, I'll be buying more DVDs steadily over time. But there's going to be like a lot of underrated Disney films. I imagine we tackle even more because we like those little installments. But
The
also,
ones that aren't even
Fox
on
and the Hound, I
Disney.
haven't seen. Yeah, well, yeah. I haven't seen Fox and the Hound in a very, very, very long time.
Yeah,
Lady and the Tramp,
with
we
the
watched.
audiobook, so like I know it like off by heart from the audiobook now.
Cool.
well, and we watched Lady and the Tramp.
Just after we got Willow, because
about 2
Willow
years
looks
ago.
like Lady.
She does.
does.
And she's a bit of a lady as well. And we've got some other fun things planned for Megan's picks in the future as well. Some dog stuff, cat stuff. There's lots of animated dog and cat stuff in.
Yeah,
in
but to
Disney.
honour Willow, we'll go for those two films: Lady and the Tramp and The Fox and the Hound.
nice and easy.
Great
Do we want to
choice.
do plugs then, Dan? Not to steal your hosting hat. but just-
I mean, you're already on Spider Down and the Secret Balls, so if you're not here already, go over to the website, spiderdownandsecretballs.com, for all the weird and wacky stuff. I've got another Forbidden Worlds Day 4 coming out, so my coverage of the cult genre exploitation event in Bristol. Really good time. I was part of the official kind of press team, so it was wonderful. Everyone was so nice and very welcoming, and it got, allowed me to interview them in some respects. So yeah, really nice to meet people there and see some films, and again re-experience some films on an IMAX screen for the first time. So yeah, really, really good. So if you want to hear any of that, this whole month there's been 6 of those I've released to the general public, so go check those out.
And it was so good, in fact, I listened to a few of them. I'm going to try and go to the Forbidden Worlds Festival next year. So, because I enjoyed Dan's coverage of it so much, and I was like, you know what, there's lots of films I really should watch that Megan is never going to want to watch, so I have to trade 3 hours of Married at First Sight to
Come
get to
on,
watch a
Megan.
film for her to
Come
just
on.
fall asleep halfway through
I
it
don't
anyway.
make you watch Married at First Sight.
No, I know, it's just it was because of there was one film we watched where it was on an Afterthoughts I was editing the other day, and we traded. You said I'll do an Afterthoughts for Married at First Sight, which we did. But no, I'd love to go and see lots of these certain films, some of the older ones and things that just miss me by. So yeah, that coverage has convinced me.
Yeah, well, there you go. I might convince other people. That was the whole point. So we've succeeded there. But yeah, no, I'm looking forward to that, Mike. It would be nice to have I sat with a few people and various things, but I'm still generally on my own. I did bump into a few friends, and they were thinking about coming to see a film, but we didn't in the end. But I still saw as much as I could. Yeah, great event, great people. Go check it out. Go and check out their website, Forbidden Worlds at filmfestival.co.uk. Rhea.
Next plug. Rhea?
Come over to Femon podcast. You know it all. This will probably be on Femon as well. Come and listen to all of our amazing episodes, all of my amazing co-hosts, Alison, Tonya, Ada, and Jess. They are wonderful human beings talking to other wonderful human beings. I don't think there's a podcast out there like there is that Femon is. So come and listen to us and listen to something truly unique. And if our podcast changes the life of one listener, then we've done our job. Come and listen to us. Femon.show. I can't remember our Instagram handle ever,
I'll link
but
it.
you can figure it out.
At Femon Collective, I think.
Sure.
Megan.
Hello. Instagram, Grits Gets Fit. And I actually have been posting recently, so what a treat for everyone.
Including photos of Willow for a birthday.
Including photos of Willow for the birthday. I will say, yeah,
Billow.
my Willow Billow. The past 3 weeks, less so, because it's just been very chaotic in my personal life. But it's
Amen.
there. Yeah.
Same for all of us, I think.
Yeah, it's been a very, very, very busy
I'm
month.
fine. What are you talking about?
Everything is going swimmingly.
I'm
You like that-
fine.
That meme of that dog sat at the
Yeah.
dinner table and everything's on fire all around. I'm like, this is fine. This
Yeah.
is fine.
But yeah, I'm there. You can watch and follow my health and weight loss journey, as well as random pictures of the dogs and anything else that I get up to. So you can see some pictures of my hen do if you want to go on there and have a look.
Wild Hendu.
Wild times. Okay, well, from myself, so you can find me at Genuine Chits Chat on Instagram, X, Threads, Facebook, TikTok, all those great places. I post snippets of Genuine Chit Chat on there and other photos and stuff of things that Megan and I get up to, occasionally photos of Willow as well. Also, don't forget to check out Spider Dan on the Comics in Motion feed, doing Examining X-Men, including the finale and all that great stuff. So if you have been watching the X-Men animated series for 97, check that out. It's fantastic. Yeah, Megan does the old school tune, which is the only thing I think she knows about the animated series of X-Men,
it's
which is the
also-
best.
Actually, Wolverine's in it.
Oh, yeah.
She's right. She is right.
To be fair,
Thank you.
I mean, to be fair, the X-Men animated,
Give her that.
the original one is the most iconic theme tune in the world, in my opinion. So you can find Dan there, and obviously you can find myself on Comics in Motion occasionally. I'm doing monthly Clone Wars conversations with Megan is occasionally involved, as well as Matt and Dave. Also, depending on when this is coming out, Megan and I are going to be appearing on Chris and Dave's reality cast. While Chris is away, we're doing Love Island for the first week, so I'm watching 5 hours of Love Island in the same week that Star Wars Acolyte's 2-episode premiere is coming out. So I'm going to be recording with Dave for Love Island after watching 5 hours of that, and for the Acolyte, because on Comics in Motion and on the YouTube channel of youtube.com/genuinechitchat, there is going to be weekly weekly Acolyte discussion shows, which is the new Star Wars series
Lordy Lord.
set at the end of the High Republic era.
I owe Mike at least 2 of those because I've cancelled the previous Star Wars shows.
You've got. I'll get you at least one space. I'm going to try and get different guests each week. But we'll see.
I see.
If there's a
Oh,
spot,
it's fine. Yeah,
You can't pick and
fine.
choose.
Look at that
Fine.
rejection
Fine.
that he's
Can't
just...
pick and choose.
Who
Just-
the hell do you think
I won't
you
come on.
are?
I thought you wanted me. I thought you wanted me more
on
often,
one
but,
episode.
you know,
you can
whatever.
be a reserve.
Fine.
You can be reserved. Just come in. I'll be on 2
Maybe-
episodes of that. Thank you
maybe I
very
won't-
much, sir.
Maybe I won't even do it. Maybe.
Yeah, do it, Dan.
Oh, look, I'm
Cancel.
busy. I'm busy again. Oh, what happened? What happened?
And also on Genuine Chit Chat as well, I also recently spoke with Mike Chen, who's a sci-fi author who also wrote a Star Wars book, is also super into music. That was good fun there. And I've got lots of other cool, fun things coming out as well. So follow me. If you enjoy Spider Dan's pods and Rhea's pods, you'll probably enjoy mine. And if you want to go the extra mile, you should with Dan's podcast. Not because Femon doesn't have Patreon. Sorry, friends.
Don't.
But because Spider Dan does have Patreon, support him there. But also you can find us on Patreon and patreon.com/genuinechitchat. You can hear from myself and Megan every single week.
Why?
And you get early access to monthly M&M, which is mine and Megan's new show.
Yeah.
So
Spooky
good fun.
season. A spooky season. Spooky
season. Bum, bum,
Megan does a lot of musical intros.
Beautiful.
All good fun
Every time.
on there. And she created the theme for M&M.
Yeah, exactly. Wonderful theme. A completely original theme. She does not own the rights to do the Chickle Brothers theme, but
Spooky season.
However, I have met them.
oh, cool.
Didn't get him to sign a document,
maybe not recently. I'm imagining, not very recently.
It would
no.
have been.
one
It
of
was
the
a
past
year
ones.
then.
I was once at Panto with their nephews, I believe, at one point.
That's not quite.
That's cool.
That's like 3 degrees separated. It's like, yeah,
I know.
I saw the dog.
They were
who was,
they were very
Leonardo
they were
DiCaprio once.
they were very much their own version of the Chuckle Brothers, though.
Okay.
They had a whole thing. They had a whole like
To you,
know,
to me, I guess.
yeah, basically they had a technique or whatever they call it, like a skit. I don't know what you call it, but
A shtick.
yeah,
good
yeah, very
fun.
very irritating, very irritating.
Well, we'll be doing Disney discussions again. We'll try and do it before Megan and I go away for our wedding. So we'll try and record that in the next month or two. And that'll be on our feed. So instead of on your 2 feeds, that'll be on Genuine Chit Chat's feed as well. So, I mean, I might give it to Rhea anyway, just to be nice. But Dan and I are in this, rivalry,
fucking
love
Dan.
interest thing going on.
Pitying Rhea. I'll just give it to her.
No, because with Rhea, it's like Femon is like the neutral ground of mine and Dan's sexually fueled
that's
rivalry.
better.
We're both so.
Sexual rivalry.
You know what happens when you come over, and we're just 2 alphas. So much energy.
Of course, yeah.
I'm
I'm-
just-
I have to go
People-
outside and have a little cry because I'm so overwhelmed by
Yeah,
the
but
alpha.
alpha-
Look
alpha.
at the 2 of you and say they are 2 alphas.
Puffing our chests out.
That's
That's
it.
what they
That's what we
say.
do. We're just some bros.
So alpha.
They're the leaders of the wolf
Alphas
pack.
all the way.
But we should have our own alpha podcast and just be really
Well,
horrible and talk about women in really derogatory ways.
Like we do normally. So when Rhea's not here,
Misogynist Mike.
Guys,
When
we're like
Rhea's
an hour
not
and
here.
45 minutes in. Can we-
Misogynist Mike, derogative Dan. That's our podcast.
amazing. Rhea's also tapping out, so we
She
need
is
to
tapping
finish
out.
this.
Tap tap.
Tap tap. Right. Well, this has been Disney discussions on a wing and a prayer. Write in, send us stuff on a postcard. Tell us if you like it or not. I certainly didn't like one of these films. Who knows? Who knows what you might like or despise? But yeah, this is us, and we'll be back for Megan's dog shit choices. No, kidding. I'm kidding.
All right, I change it. Camp Rock.
No, please. Please don't. I was only joking. Please don't. Oh God. I love those choices. But anyway, yes, this is us tapping out. Good night, everyone. Have a good day. We're rocketing away. Bye.